of you enjoyed the NHL opening week $9 special, so it's only fair that we offer the NBA fans the same deal. Every NBA daily package for the opening week through Monday, October 25th is just $9. That's right, you will not be paying $25 for a package, nor will you be paying $35 for 5% best bets for the opening week of the NBA, as all daily basketball packages are only $9. Make sure to tune in every Monday through Friday for the NBA tip-off show on WagerTalk TV, and then save and start the NBA season with a slam dunk deal.
It is Monday, October 18th. Guys, happy Monday. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. We're back with another episode of Puck Time. I was a little bit inactive on Twitter this weekend, but I promise you guys will get going with some weekend content, some Saturday content for the big slate of games. But nonetheless, you got 4 games to go over today on the card, some pretty decent games to go over as well. I do want to bring up the fact that Carmine and Bianco's Buffalo Sabres are in first place in the Atlantic Division. So that's one interesting fact to bring up to start off this show. But Carm, before we jump into today's games and start going through the data and the analytics and our predictions, I want to ask you what you're thinking about the NHL season so far and anything that surprised you besides, well, the Sabres being in first place.
Yeah, listen, they're a terrible team. They're still going to be at the bottom of the standings come the end of the season. They're in a better start to the NHL season than I have. I'll give them that much. But at some point, they are going to level out, and they're just not a good team. And once that Jack Eichel thing comes to, once they decide where he's going, we'll see where the Sabres team is. But they're a team destined to finish at the bottom of the standings, along with a couple teams that are in action tonight, are right at the bottom of my power ranking. So hopefully we'll see how it goes. But it's been a crazy NHL season. We've seen some big leads slip. We've seen some sloppy play. Some teams that they're getting killed on penalties. And we're seeing some teams that have lost that probably should have won. It's the opening week of the NHL season. It's going to get better. And for any of you guys that are in chat that may have had a rough start to it, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So you guys will get some winners going. Just stick to doing your homework and looking at the box scores and adding that into if you have a power ranking of your own, add that in and just adjust the strength of your teams as you move forward. Worst thing you can do is just open up or go to a website and look to see who is 3-0, 4-0 to start the NHL season team-wise and think that they're going to continue to win. There's some sort of surprises up ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. The season is only young. It's only Monday here. The season started just last week. So, guys, it's $9 Monday over at WagerTalk.com. Every single play released is $9, and I hope you guys took advantage of the great deal we had at WagerTalk for every play being $9 in the NHL over the past week, and you can get that for just today. And then it goes back to normal price tomorrow. So take advantage of all of our NHL plays over at WagerTalk.com for only $9. Guys, today's games, we are going to hit Rangers, Leafs, Kraken, Flyers, Ducks, Flames, Blues, Coyotes, every single game on the board. And don't forget to use the coupon code, guys, PuckTime200 to take $200 off anybody's long-term NHL package, any NHL handicapper at WagerTalk.com, $200 off using that coupon code PuckTime200. Carm, let's dive into our first game. Let's get into the Rangers and the Leafs. Look, talking about the Rangers here coming off that game against the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, I watch all these games. I watch every game I can possibly, but I have my close eye on the Montreal Canadiens. All right. Looking at that game, and we look at the expected goal numbers here. Austin Matthews projected to be back in the lineup tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs expected goal numbers, Carm, to kind of dive into those for the first time this season after we have a few games underway. They're really good. They're really, really good. Their expected goals against isn't very good. They're still allowing plenty of chances, but their expected goals for is in the late threes right now, like around 3.5, 3.6, which is crazy for expected goals. Rangers, not so high. So Toronto, minus 190 current price here. The minus 1.5 puck line is plus 130. And the total sits at 6 in this game. And I'll tell you, I like Toronto in regulation. You could get it around -110, -120 last night. I expect this number to continue to move up a little bit. But let's be honest here. This is a Toronto team that hasn't had the best start by any means. They haven't. They haven't looked like the team that everybody kind of paints them out to be. Crazy offensive team. But I will say I've been impressed by their defensive abilities. They've played Montreal once, Ottawa twice. But in those games, they have looked pretty responsible in their defensive zone, which, I thought about playing the over in this game, Carm, but I don't really know what I'm going to get from the Rangers, and I don't really want to bring them into it. And I thought that Toronto, with the expected goals number and what they've done so far in the season, I feel like this is a game they'll kind of show out here at home. Matthews back in the lineup. I like Toronto here in regulation.
Wow, Andrew, geez, right out of the gate, first show on Monday, and we are already at odds on this first game. Listen, it's not going to be on my card, but there's a good chance that I will end up taking this game myself. I look at this, and here's how I look at it. The Rangers are a team I expect are going to have a good season. I have expectations they're going to have a good season. Their first 3 games, they're 1-1 out of the gate so far. But you look at it, that first game against Washington, they lose 5-1. Their final goal expectancy, the Rangers actually were 3-2 on the goal expectancy, approximately 3-2. They played well, lost the game. Then they lose in overtime. We saw last year, we saw it the year before. These games go to overtime, and they are an absolute coin flip on 3-on-3s. It's just the way it is. And then they go to Montreal, and they played a pretty good game in Montreal. I understand the issues that Montreal have, but you're offering me +160, +170 with the Rangers team with a good goalie in net. It should be, if it's Sherstaken in net tonight, this is a good team that's going to win games this year. I get it. The Leafs at home, Austin Matthews back in the lineup, everyone excited, but let's look at it. They played Montreal in the home opener. I was there. That was the most lackluster 2-1 game I've ever seen. These teams were void of any absolute emotion in that game. It was a preseason game, for lack of a better word. And then 2 games where they split against Ottawa, who, listen, Ottawa's is going to be a good team. They're not going to be a great team. They're going to eke out their wins. They're not going to make the playoffs. So now the Leafs are 3 games in, and they have yet to play a team that I expect to make the playoffs. They're now playing a team that's going to make the playoffs. Matthews back in the lineup. Again, Leafs are a very good regular season team. I just don't know if I want to lay $1.90 with Toronto, and it's likely to go a little bit higher because it is, once the news comes out, Austin Matthews, everyone's like, oh, he's going to score a ton of goals. It's a different thing here. I'm not laying this price at all. If anything, I'll take the Rangers if you give me +170.
All right, Carmine and I are on different sides to start things off. And for the record, although I already said it, I'm not laying the price either, Carm. I'm on the regulation. So there's no chance I'm going up there with the -190 either. But I did want to say, Toronto Maple Leafs X goals per 60 so far to start the 0.73. For the Rangers, 1.74. So, the Rangers, they get a well-needed, they break their mini losing streak, I guess, to start the season off, 0-2. They beat the Montreal Canadiens, who have been struggling to score. Now they play a Leafs team that I think they can score a hell of a lot better than the Canadiens can, at least for the short time being. So, but I agree. The Leafs are continue to be heavily favored, and I won't be backing them on the money line anytime soon without looking at the regulation line, that's for sure. Carm, any thoughts on the total for you? I mean, part of me wanted to lean towards the over, but, I still think 2 talented goaltenders. Shesterkin is great, like you mentioned, and so far what the Leafs have showed us is that they're a little bit better defensively this year so far.
Yeah, I think the Leafs are going to be better defensively. I actually think that the goaltending duo that they have now is probably one of the better ones they've had in a lot of years. I think the Campbell-Mrazek duo is going to be a good one for them. Speaking of which, they actually had an emergency goalie on the bench, Andrew, in that, I believe, in the Ottawa game. It wasn't the Zamboni driver, but I saw a story on there where it was a younger kid or whatever. So it's a
Yep.
good thing he didn't have to come in that game for them. But again, we'll see. We're 3 games in, and the Leafs are 3 unders thus far. We're used to seeing a higher scoring Leafs team, but again, maybe this game plays out to one of those, again, a similar game, a 3-2 game, kind of like these Ottawa games that they played. We'll see 2 very good goalies, 2 very good teams. We'll see how it shakes out in the end. Again, I'm not laying that big price. If the total was 6.5, I'd be all over the under, but we're not going to see a 6.5.
Right. Yeah, and the Leafs getting a chance to play an American team for the first time in a long time, obviously with the Canadian division happening last year. Our next game on board here, we have the Seattle Kraken, the Philadelphia Flyers. Plus 115 here, Philadelphia Flyers minus 135. I don't know, Carmine, if you saw the banner jokes with the Nashville Predators, but those continue to fly around social media. Seattle first victory in franchise history over the Predators. Your thoughts on this team? What are you buying in with them, or what are you thinking about them? Are they playing above their means? Are they playing below it? Philadelphia minus 135 right now. They're off a loss in their first game. What are your thoughts here, Carm?
Oh, Matt Joseph is probably going to hate me, but I'm not going to beat up on the Flyers again. Listen, the Flyers lost the opener 5-4. I did talk on the show last week about liking Vancouver in that game and taking Vancouver, and they won. So I was pretty happy about getting that plus money price there. But if you look at that game, and I watched that game, the Flyers really only had one bad period, that second period. They were undisciplined. They took penalties, and they paid for it. Again, as I said at the top of the show, penalties and paying for it. The Edmonton Oilers did that to the Calgary Flames as well. The Flyers did come back, sent it to a shootout, but ultimately lose that game. I think they bounce back here. I think this is going to be a tougher team for the Kraken to play. They're 3 games in, and they've been in every single game, but their Flyers might be just a little more physical than the teams that the Kraken have played so far, Vegas included. So I'm going to look for the Flyers to win here. I think it's a short price, and it's worth it here. Let's see if they can get off the snide and pick up their first win of the season.
I'm right there with you with the Philadelphia Flyers, and it's nice having a read on a team where you and I both cashed a ticket already, fading the Philadelphia Flyers, both won an underdog wager on them, when we both thought the Flyers were too heavy of favorites. But in this instance, I agree with you. It's a short price. I think it's a pretty reasonable one to lay. And looking at Seattle, I agree with you. I'm not saying that they've been, unimpressive by any means, because they haven't disappointed. They've actually been a competitive team. They've showed their skill. But I think something has to be said about the start of the season. Other teams don't know who they are. It kind of reminds me, Carmine, of when we're handicapping baseball and a pitcher's on the mound and not a lot of people know. You check to see the stats. How many times have these batters seen this pitcher? And not a lot of teams. Obviously, nobody saw what this team was going to be like. Nobody knew what their strategies were going to be like. Nobody knew what their tactics would be. Nobody knew what their line pairings would be. Nobody knew anything about their chemistry. So through the first 3 games, it was just a little bit of a mixed bag with the Seattle Kraken. And their X goals aren't actually that good. They haven't really been creating that much. And some of their goals haven't really been too nice either, which means they were kind of lucking out on tips in front of the net and stuff like that. And Philadelphia, I think something has to be made as well. Even though teams have been successful at home, something also has to be made, Carm, about the fact that there's a lot of excitement when you have your home opener, right? When you introduce all the players and the crowd's going crazy. It's the first time having fans back for some teams. Now you get your first loss, you're in bounce back mode. And that leadership core for the Flyers, they strung a little bit of a comeback. I mean, I don't know about you. You and I were both on the Canucks, man. I was a little nervous. Philadelphia made that comeback. I was watching a different game, and all of a sudden I see Philadelphia tied it up and we were off to a shootout. So I like that, even though it was just game 1. Philadelphia clawed back. They didn't give up in that game. So I think it's a pretty solid spot to jump on today for the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's where I'm going to go as well, just like Carmine. So both of us agreeing on the Flyers. And I believe we might have a total pick in this game, save for the best bet at the end. Let's jump into our third game here, the Ducks and the Flames. Ducks right now plus 165. The Flames minus 195. Total sits at 5.5. And Carm, I'll tell you this right now, man. I said this last year, and I even said this to myself going into this year, and I've done it once so far, but how are we going to be able to just bet unders in every game for the Ducks this year? Are they going to go like 82-0 to the under? Because Stolarz looked really impressive, just like John Gibson did. And I know you always laugh at me when I say stuff like that, but man, the way they play, it's kind of like a soccer team getting dominated possession-wise, but it just doesn't matter. You know, Calgary minus 195, puck line for them plus 130. They're far too heavy of favorites, but I think it's a pretty good spot for them. What about you?
Yeah, listen, we're going to get back to the whole penalty thing. And I apologize to the guys watching this video. I think my Wi-Fi, while the audio is good, the video isn't the greatest, but this was a face that is made for radio more than live video. But with that said, the Ducks are near the bottom of my rankings. They will be there along with the Sabres and the Arizona Coyotes. It's a team that's going to struggle for wins. They're going to struggle to score. And you know, as far as Calgary goes, it's that reoccurring theme again, which I talked about. Again, penalties they paid for. You can't give the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid power plays. They're just going to make you pay for it, and they did pay for it. But they got 47 shots on goal on Mike Smith, and there were a lot of quality chances there for them. But they buried themselves in that game. I have to think that they're going to bounce back here. Anaheim had a terrible start last season on the road. I think they went 4-11 their first 15 games. And they pretty much settled in at the bottom of the West there because of it. A team that can't win on the road is not going to go very far in the NHL these days. I'm going to keep it short and simple. Calgary Flames for me tonight here. I think you can take Flames probably on the puck line as well too, or regulation. But Flames for me tonight against the Ducks.
I'm right there with you, Carm. And I've liked dogs this year so far, and I've bet some underdogs. But today, I'm liking the favorites. I'm liking some of these spots for these guys at home, especially some of these home favorites. And you know, looking at that performance that the Wild had against the Ducks had against the Wild, it was really hard to even imagine that score was tied for so long throughout the game. Anthony Stolarz absolutely stole the game, no pun intended there. And I think that he just won't be able to do that again today against a motivated team looking to bounce back with a lot of younger players, lots of talent on their team. And when I look at my power ratings of this division, you know, I don't have Calgary at the very top, but they're up there far ahead of the Anaheim Ducks, and they're in a pretty good bounce back spot. And like you said, they had plenty of chances against the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers got it done on the power play, which is a huge thing to follow this year with how many more penalties we're going to see this year on the season. And the shots for, like you said, it wasn't as bad of a game for Calgary as it might look like on the scoreboard. You know, so anybody that just checks the score of that game, they might think that Edmonton dominated Calgary. McDavid dominated Calgary. Well, I think Calgary actually was in that game much more than the scoreboard reads. So I think Calgary gets the job done as well. I locked them in regulation. I was able to get that minus 120 last night. And it should be interesting because, Carm, the Ducks are down there in the bottom of the league as far as, you know, the expected goal numbers and, you know, possession and everything, even face-offs won in the offensive zone. It's just incredible. I mean, out the gate, their coaching staff is telling their team, hey, I want you to play a trap. You know, I want you to play conservatively. And every player seems to have bought into that right away.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. I was fixing my Wi-Fi as you were talking there, but I'm listening, and it's going to be a reoccurring theme. But listen, we're a week into the season, and you know, like I said, I saw some guys in the chat. They're having kind of a rough time of it in the NHL, but who hasn't? If you're having a great time in the NHL, God bless you, man, because it's been a rough start. Teams that are high up on the power rankings, not winning games. But it's been tough to start. This Anaheim team, it's kind of like the Sabres. You talked at the top of the show about the Sabres. They're 2-0. Don't let that 2-0 record blind you to the fact that they are not a good team. They beat Arizona, an equally bad team. And, they beat the Montreal Canadiens, who had played, the night before against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's sort of a back-to-back there. And the Canadiens are struggling as well, too. Obviously, goaltending issues, issues on defense. Let's not discount the fact that this is a team whose points total was 67.5 points this season, and they're still not going to come near that, even with picking up wins in their opening two. Just watch for that streak of games to start where the Sabres start to lose a second and a third. And believe me, just jump on it, because before you know it, that's going to be at 9 or 10 games if you map it out correctly, if that's where you make your money on those teams. And it's the same thing here. Fading teams like the Anaheim Ducks, fading teams like the Arizona Coyotes long-term this season is going to make you money. Yes, they're going to jump up and beat you sometimes, but over the course of a year, this season, you are going to make money betting against these teams. At the end of the season, sorry about that stutter. At the end of the season, when you look at the standings and you see Arizona, Anaheim, and Buffalo occupying those 29, 30, 31, or whatever spots, you're going to wonder, why didn't I fade this team more? Put up with the losses when they beat you, but long term you'll beat them.
100%, and pretty much we're going to get better prices on these teams after they lose to these struggling teams, and then the next time around we're going to get an even better price. So, definitely patience is the virtue, and plenty of season left to kind of fade these horrible teams that have maybe had a little bit of fortune out the gate in the season so far. So speaking of the Coyotes that Carmine just absolutely destroyed, let's destroy them a little bit more. Let's talk about this Coyotes team a little bit here, Carm. They sit as plus 145 underdogs tonight at home against St. Louis. St. Louis laying the road chalk minus 170. Puck line is plus 145. And the total in this game is 5.5. And, it was interesting because I tried to follow a theory that I've had for a little while when the Coyotes and Sabres went head to head. And I've always said that when you have two poor teams go head to head, a lot of times you see goals. It's a chance for both teams. They see to win the game. It's a lot easier to score on these poor defensive teams than maybe they've been used to against some upper tier teams. And we didn't really see that. Honestly, we saw a good goaltending display. We saw quite a bit of conservative hockey. But we also saw a Coyotes team that in their first game of the year against Columbus, they kept getting scored on rapidly, turning the puck over, making mistakes in the neutral zone. But now in this game, Carm, against Buffalo in game 2, they just couldn't finish anything. They had probably 5 or 10 open net tap-ins, and they could not finish those plays off. So not only is this team struggling defensively, they also can't get their act together on offense and score. They're a very young team, as we all know. St. Louis, though, they're not young. They're veteran-based. They're veteran-built. And they started off their season on a pretty good note against the Colorado Avalanche. But we've talked about it. You've talked about it. We don't like these big numbers as a money line sport, minus 170 for the St. Louis Blues. What's your move here in this one, Carm?
Yeah, listen, Arizona is, again, they're in for a long season. Issues, obviously, with their arena. We'll see how that franchise goes. But, they're stockpiling some draft picks. They're looking at the future at some point, and they'll pick up another good draft pick again this year. Look at this team in 2-3 years time when, the contract in Toronto is over and Austin Matthews moves to Arizona to play with the Coyotes, having, grown up there. I think he's originally from Arizona. Yes. Andrew, maybe you can correct me on that. But, getting to this game in general, listen, the St. Louis Blues, what's the difference between them this year and that last year? We talked about the Blues a lot early in the season last year, and we had some guys in chat who were Blues fans. What did the Blues suffer from last year? They started the season down men, injuries. This team was up against it early on, dug themselves into a grave, dug themselves out of it to get into a playoffs, and then we're done after that. But I'm expecting them to have a much better start this year. You look at it, they started with a big win in Colorado, just the first game of the season, but still a good win against a very good team. And now they have this game here against Arizona, which they should win. And then in 2 days' time, they go to Vegas and play the Golden Knights, who are going to be missing Pacioretty, Stone, and Tuck, all injured, likely are not going to play that Wednesday game. So they're in a favorable position where they can head home for the start of their home opener and a start of a 4-game homestand 3-0. They really should be 3-0.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do tonight. But if they head into that game against Vegas with a Vegas team missing 3 key parts of their lineup, they could very well get the win there and head home for this road trip and a much better start for this Blues team. Binnington did look good, so we'll see. I can't make a case for Arizona. I don't. There's nothing I can drink or smoke that is going to tell you take Arizona tonight, even if they were to win. There's no way I would take Arizona tonight in this game. For me, it's the Blues. Whether you take them full game and you lay that big, or include it into a parlay with another team. If you like the Leafs, then just take St. Louis and Toronto in a parlay, and you're getting some plus money there. But it's the Blues for me, whether it's regulation or whether it's a puck line or whether it's full game at minus 170, whichever you choose to take. I think the Blues are the right spot here.
Yeah, hopefully people when they're handicapping, Carm, are saving their recreational activities for game time, not when they're doing their handicapping, because that's when you end up betting on the Coyotes on accident. So the money, you can get a money line parlay of the Blues and the Flames over the Ducks, and that will come out at around plus 140. So that's a pretty good number, man.
I actually like that.
And the Flames.
I actually like that, Andrew. That's a good one because I would rather take that one than I did mention the Leafs, but I'm not taking the Leafs. I'll be watching the game, and if anything, if the Toronto bettors push that number higher with them, and they push Toronto to like minus 210 or minus 215, where I get the Rangers at plus 175, plus 180, then I'll take the Rangers there. Otherwise, I'm probably just a spectator on that one while I wait for the real game of the night, which is the Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans to start. I know this is a hockey show, but I am a Bills fan. You know that.
And that's completely all right. Also, I want to mention before we jump into best bets, a little bit of promotion. You can get the team total, Carm, for the St. Louis Blues at 3.5 to the over at around plus 120. So I found that kind of interesting. I mean, total's at 5.5. This is a team that's, let's see, what was the current number? Yeah, minus 170, around that ballpark. So looking at this team total over 3.5, you can turn a minus 170 on the money line. Look at the team total over 3.5 goals, turn that into a plus price at plus 120. And so if you guys like a total, and let's say anybody out there listening does like the over in this game, I'm assuming you like the over because you think St. Louis will score the bulk of the goals. And that's kind of what we have to think when we're betting on an over. Where are these goals coming from? Who's scoring them? Which line is scoring them? Which players are scoring them? And there's a very, very short list of players in the Coyotes that I'm trusting right now to put that puck in the back of the net. So over 3.5 team total for this Blues team at plus 120 after scoring plenty of goals against the Avalanche, I think is a pretty good bet there. But also like that Flames parlay as well. But, I like to have these two teamers every now and then. It's a pretty great price as well to mix in. Carm, let's jump over. You mentioned the football game tonight. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Obviously, you're watching as a fan as well. But what do you have up for grabs? Every play today is just $9 over at WagerTalk.
Yeah, I have, excuse me, I have 4 different cards, Andrew. I have a play on the Monday Night Football game tonight. I also have a couple games on the NHL schedule up tonight, and then a Wednesday couple plays. So Wednesday, I have a 5% Champions League game. I really like this one. It's a plus money play, so you can get that over at WagerTalk for only $9 up until midnight tonight. And then an NFL play on the weekend as well too, and that is a 5% play that until midnight tonight you can get for $9 as well. So 4 different cards up there and a free play up on the site. If you click on my profile page and scroll down a bit, you'll see the free play that goes this afternoon in EPL action.
Good stuff, Carl. I'll throw it right back to you for your best bet on the show today. You had a winner for us on Friday. Let's see if you can do it again here today.
Yeah, we broke the snide and got into the win column with a winning play. We're going to go to that Philadelphia game that we talked about earlier. Obviously, wasn't the greatest of starts for the Flyers and Carter Hart. Again, a 5-4 final. I don't expect to see a lot of 5-4 finals on the Flyers' schedule this year. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think it's a little more physical for the Kraken team. I think ultimately the Flyers win, but this total's at 6 right now, and devoid of, again, no penalties or power plays. If we can keep those power play goals to a minimum, this is going to be one of those low scoring 3-1 or 4-1 games. I think the Flyers get the win tonight. I think it stays under the total of 6. So the under 6 is going to be my free play on the show today.
I love that play, Carm. I'm right there with you. My best bet on the show is going to be the Calgary Flames in regulation, the three-way money line at -120. I like that play up to -130 as well. Flames in regulation against the Anaheim Ducks. It's only early in the season, but you look at the Anaheim Ducks and the games that have been very close for them should not even have been close. This is a team getting dominated in every statistical category. Their players are not really performing that well. Besides, a little bit of defensive prowess and all that kind of stuff. But I just do not like what they have done so far to start the season off, relying heavily on their goaltending. And the Flames, they're off a rivalry game, a game they lost after putting up a bunch of shots, dangerous scoring opportunities. It's a great bounce back opportunity at home for this Flames team. And I'm betting them tonight in regulation, -120. Calgary Flames. Remember, guys, every single play is $9 at WagerTalk.com. I'm on a 9-0 run to start off the MLB playoffs, MLB action, NHL action. Carmine has plenty of plays up for grabs, 2 5% plays to look for. Recap of our power plays. I'm on Calgary in regulation, -120. Carmine with Seattle, Philadelphia, under 6. Let's start the week off on a bang, Carm. Let's get some winners for our viewers. Let's cash these best bets, and we'll have Buster on tomorrow. For Puck Time is back, man. We're ready to roll, and let's make some money for our viewers. Take care, Carm. Everybody out there, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.